It's now 7 minutes after 8, and before we get into sports chat later on, in just 7 days, Kenya will join the rest of the world in marking this year's Labor Day. And well, joining me in studio now is Honorable Ambassador Ukur Yatani, who is the CS for Ministry of Labour and Social Protection. Thank you for joining us this morning, sir. And yes, Labor Day is just fast approaching, but Kenya has had quite a number of hiccups when it comes to the labour sector. And let's start with the immediate that many of us will identify with, and it's a lecturer strike that has been on now for quite a number of days. Actually, we've gone past 50 days, and there doesn't seem to be much light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you very much for this opportunity. It's really a good opportunity for me to be here to highlight some of the matters that has been of great concern to the country. The issue of labor unrest in the country, there's been upsurge of these strikes in the last few years. I think it's also the courtesy of the new constitution that gives a lot of opportunity, latitude for people to participate, register, and engage in all labor relations.
Correct.
Concerning the WASU, the University Lecturers Union, that are currently on strike, the matter is quite unfortunate, because in the larger context of society, there's a lot of wasted time and opportunities, learning sessions,
and especially
time
for the students, who are in school. They're
not only the students, also their parents in terms of financial losses.
Correct.
This is really unfortunate, because we have believed that the Constitution and also the Labor Relations Act provides for opportunity for negotiations within the boardroom before the matter spills to the streets. I must say that this has not really been followed by some parties. But the matter as it is now, it went to court. The court gave a direction that my office, that is actually deals with it, appointed a conciliator. The matter has been going on, the discussion between WASU and the employer, which is the Inter-Public University Forum, and by extension also Minister of Education and Treasury. The discussion has been ongoing. The matter actually also a decision was made at court. We are almost towards the tail end of the conciliation and rather the mediation.
Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Because for, excuse me, for students, for Kenyans, generally speaking, what they'd want to see is a deal that is sealed and moving forward. Because now 50 days with lecturers not, in class is by all standard and means very unfortunate.
It needs to be noted that the court has pronounced itself on this matter.
Correct.
And the strike has been declared illegal and quite unprotected. And unfortunately, the lecturers have not gone back to teach. This is really in contempt of court. The matter actually is going to be taken back to court to address why they have not gone back. And at the same time also why the Minister of Education has not offered any meaningful, position on the matter as directed by court.
So do we expect the lecturers to be back in school soon? Hopefully.
The court gave us 60 days to negotiate and hammer, the discussion between the two parties. That is 30 days already over. We are now towards the tail end of the other 30 days. The conciliator will going to conclude, the position, and the ruling will be forwarded to the court. And the court actually will going to make one final judgment on the matter. We hope something will happen. On the side, we're also negotiating and discussing with the university lecturers and also the Inter-Public University Forum, the Vice Chancellor's Forum, with a view of trying to hammer a solution not before the actual date of the court, the decision that has, the court position. So we hope something will happen, and today even I'm also going to have a meeting. I had a meeting, an offsite meeting with the Vice Chancellor's Forum. Today I'm also going to meet WASU, so that they also appreciate the magnitude of the challenges at hand with a view of trying to get a solution. The matter as it is, it's only one segment of the society. The government looks at the entire public service, as vis-a-vis, whether it's health, whether it's education, whether all the sectors. And a decision that's made that affects one segment must also encompass and look at its effect, its ripple effect on other sectors. So I really understand the position of Minister of Education in coming up, actually relying on the constitution of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, which, as you know, is really in limbo now.
Okay.
The commissioners are not in place. Instead of acting on a CBA outside the framework of SRC is going to be very dangerous.
All right.
I think that is the fear of the Minister of Education, because it's going to have serious effect on all other sectors of the country.
All right. Now, one of the things you mentioned is the fact that, of course, with the Constitution, it gives a lot of room for people to express themselves, and within the confines of the Constitution for them to express themselves. And this has seen an upsurge of industrial action in this country, which possibly is an indicator, I would imagine, of where people have been, but because now the Constitution allows them to express themselves, do you see a time where we are likely to see this industrial action reduced by virtue of the terms and conditions for employees being fairer?
The new constitution is very rich in terms of giving the latitude for people to register a trade union. You just need 7 members to come together and register as many unions as possible. But the right to a free association is not absolute. It must be within the framework of the other interests and the other rights to the public. The case of the medical union, is the right to participate in a strike, but also is the right of Kenyans to get Medicare, particularly at that time. So it has to be balanced. It requires some robust discussion at all levels. Is really important. The matter, as it is, we cannot address one segment of union or one trade without looking at the context of the economy. We cannot only look at the education while we are not looking at the medical sector, while we are not looking at the other public sector. So that's why SRC is very important. It acts as a fulcrum between all these, so that a decision made whether salary increment or better welfare, it has to be looked at in the context of the larger society, so that we will not have a serious disparity in terms of the salary structure. I think these are things that's going on. In my view, we are still in a stage where this is fairly new to us. If you look at the 70s and 80s and maybe 90s, trade unions and the strikes are quite minimal. But all of a sudden now, we have more than 5-10 different trades unions within one sector. If you look at health, you have the nurses, you have the doctors, you have the clinical officers, you have all these. As much as actually it contributes also to their welfare and better organization, but it also has a serious impact in terms of, regulation of the matter. So we hope that, with maturity, we are going to have a semblance and also strike a balance on, looking at both the welfare of the people, but also the welfare of the public servant. I think this is an ongoing and a growing sector.
Okay.
So we hope something will happen to stabilize this. But as a ministry, we'll continue to play our role effectively in terms of engaging, in terms of discussing, in terms of looking for, a very mature way of handling this. And apart from the labor court matter, we have also considered now an alternative dispute resolution, where when you see any segment, any filler that a matter is going to come up and likely to spill to the street, we are actually engaging the affected people in trying to talk to them outside the court matter through an alternative dispute resolution, with a view of trying to hammer an agreement between the employer and the employee. We are also working on this. We've also come up with an area where, we have segmented the various sectors and put in charge a very experienced labor officer that matter that, there's frequent consultation within the area. Whether it's health, whether it's education, we have matters that, we discuss before even any indication of a strike, so that we try to empower, we try to educate, we try to train all the trade unions and also the employers on the obligations and the rights, and a better means of trying to solve disputes. before the matter boils into a strike.
All right. Now, one of the areas that many laborers or many workers in Kenya would be concerned about is the high cost of living. It keeps going higher, but the remuneration does not seem to match that. How is your ministry working to ensure that that gap is closed and at least the laborer feels that they are compensated equitably given the cost of living that keeps going up?
The cost of living is you have to look at as many dimensions as possible, because giving you salary increase or all the public sector salary increase is against what? Can the economic support? Are we growing at that pace? We may just be creating a spiritual effect in terms of, increasing inflation. Well, we really understand that a well-remunerated workforce is a motivated workforce and can provide more, can also trigger the economy. But, we have to have a balance.
There has to be a balance.
The economy has to grow for us, to have, because the cost of living cannot be looked at, in the perspective of the employee alone. You are a producer in your farm. Are you getting good returns, for your production? Because if you stimulate the economy, it will create more jobs, it will create better opportunities, it will create all the, there's so many unemployed people at the moment. But if the economy can support horizontally, we are going to have, more people working, get a better income, and create, appetite for consumption, and, will help even our economy to grow. And then at the same time, then the welfare and better salary for staff can be looked at. But over time, we've been agitating for more salaries without looking at the state of the economy. It's really very serious. And at the same time, as I said earlier, it must be a matter, a very comprehensive arrangement that does not address only one sector,
right,
but it has to be
across the board.
Yeah, every sector is important. Teaching is very important. Being a lecturer is very important, but also being a nursery teacher is very important. So all of us contribute to the better status for our, not only economy, but even for the growth of our country. Okay. So these are things that really needs to be done, comprehensively. And that's why we really appreciate the role of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. It sets the salaries for the president. It sets my salaries, and sets salaries for up to the lowest, employee in public sector. So that's why we need to have that balance, so that if you only look at the issues of the, the collective bargaining agreement, it can be quite deceptive. It can be really very dangerous.
All right, as we wind up, Labor Day is fast approaching, and it's meant to be a day where the laborer commemorates and is reminded of their good work that they have put forward for the sake of the economy. What is there for the Kenyan laborer to celebrate or commemorate this coming Labor Day?
Labor Day, of course, is celebrated worldwide, over. So it's an opportunity for the, the workers to take stock of their contribution to the larger socio-political, economic of the country, and also to pride in the tools of trade, and to also pride as a contributor to the better welfare of, of not only Kenyans but also worldwide. So this is going to be celebrated on 1st May, and we are inviting everybody to join us at the respective venues, not only at the capital here, but all over the counties, for people to realize that we are dealing with a very important segment of the society.
What is there that the Kenyan laborer can actually gloat and say that this is the achievement that we've made? What is there to celebrate?
Of course, there's so much to celebrate. If you look at our industries, if you look at the, the growth of the economy, who does it? We are not only looking at equipment and technology, but we are looking at workforce. A workforce that has given their time, energy, resources, that they have given their skills into, producing more for the economy and for the population. Without a clear workforce, then we'll really not be talking of a country to talk about, or any growth, or any, better welfare. The people in senior offices, including myself, are actually supported to be there by the workforce, who sweat a lot, who toil so much to produce goods and services for our country. That's where we are, and we really appreciate their contribution. We value their contribution. Without them, we'll not be having a country to talk of.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Ambassador Ukur Yatani, who is the CS for Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. And we're looking forward to, well, a good Labor Day coming up and not too long from now.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. And, well, that brings us to 22 minutes after 8, and it's time for us to take a short break. When we come back, it's time for Sports Chat with Robin Toskin.
This is KTN News.